Hi, everyone, and welcome into Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. My name is Joel Goldberg. Starting a few minutes late today, just working on a couple of things. That's the world we live in. That's okay. I hope that everyone had a great weekend, and I certainly want to thank my friends at Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hashtag no stopping you. They're back at work today, as everyone in the banking world is. So are the guys up at Casey Cattle Company. And there's a theme to who they are and to my guest today, by the way. Casey Cattle Company is based up in Weston, Missouri. They are veteran owned and operated, led by former U.S. Army Ranger Patrick Montgomery, who has been a guest on this show before and on my weekly audio podcast. Patrick also, I believe, is in one of the groups that I'm speaking to this week, a Vistage group. And so I'm excited hopefully to see Patrick on the other end there. But most importantly, all I need to say is bacon cheeseburger brats, perhaps, or Wagyu beef, amazing steaks, burgers, on and on. Also, great guys. They will ship to all 50 states. They'll bring it down here to Kansas City or wherever you're at. So check them out, Casey Cattle Company. Their social media has all of the updates. We should have a new shipment coming in here to the Goldberg House on Friday. Can't wait. We've been, eating in quite a bit like everybody else, but starting to venture out a little bit, which is exciting for sure. My guest, and I've said this and I put it in on my LinkedIn and my posts out on social media today. I find that military guests are some of the best because they just have a perspective that's a little bit different, maybe a little bit more crisp than the rest of us. And my guest today grew up with that background and now uses that influence and has for many years to help others be better at what they do. We'll better explain it as we bring in right now to the program Lauren Schieffer, good friend in my world and the speaking world. Lauren Schieffer. We'll tell everybody first off that doesn't know, most of my guests aren't in the speaking world, what CSP means.
CSP is Certified Speaking Professional.
Mhm.
It is the highest earned designation that a speaker can attain globally.
Mhm.
It's a 5-year qualification period. There are currently fewer than 1,000 certified speaking professionals globally.
Mm. I'm not one of them. I don't have a CSP after my name. I've also only been
Yet,
at this 3 years.
yet,
Yet. Lauren, for those that don't know, has been among many others in our National Speakers Association chapter here in Kansas City, a huge influence on me and someone that I bounce ideas off. There are probably 5 or 6 people here in town that I know I can pick up the phone or a Zoom nowadays if we're not doing coffee and find all anything that I might want to know and just get honest feedback and advice, which has been so important for me. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have Lauren on was, I mean, certainly, Lauren, the topics you talk about, I think would be relevant to anyone watching this. You also have a new book coming out, and I might end up in the book, from what I understand, which is pretty cool too. If I don't, by the way, no pressure. But I know that you had asked me to review it, and I just was reading it, and I felt like, as I read it, that I was really getting to know your dad, the way you grew up, the lessons you learned, which I know is everything that you really try to share with your audiences. So first and foremost, before we actually talk about this book, and there have been others,
mhm.
tell me about what the Colonel's daughter means to you.
The Colonel's daughter is my brand. I am Lauren Schieffer, the Colonel's daughter. And basically, just about everything that I teach and believe in as vitally important, I learned from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I have quoted him in my professional speaking for years, even before I branded myself as the Colonel's daughter. But what the brand did was allow me to feel justified in quoting my father. And his focus on leadership and significance and how we treat each other as vital to our success is, these are messages that resonate all over the globe. So that I am the Colonel's daughter.
Well, and I've said this before, I learn anytime I have a conversation with someone that is in the military, was in the military, or even grew up around the military. One of the things that I've learned, and you know this, I went over to Kuwait on the USO tour with the Royals, September 11th, 2018. It's the greatest experience of my professional life, at a higher and a different level than being a part of World Series and all of that. It was less about sports and more about life and leadership and people. And I my life changed after I went over there. There's just there's just a different level to what it takes to be in the military, because it is life and death. It can be life and death. It's the ultimate team, in my
Yeah.
opinion. What's your take on that? Because to me, not that everybody's in harm's way. Hopefully, most aren't. They certainly could be at any instant. And I know we all, have dangers in life, but there's just, they have to get their culture right, I guess is my take. I'm curious what yours is.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. The primary lesson that was taught in our household is it's not about me. It's about us, and it's about the team and what's best for the team, and how do we get everyone where we need everyone to be safely and in an efficient manner.
Mm-hmm.
And as I have mentioned, we've discussed before, that my father was an engineer in the Air Force. He designed ordinances and buildings and airplanes. And that was the ultimate "it's not about me" career, because he wasn't a speed jockey. He wasn't a fighter pilot. He didn't fly bombers. He made sure that all of those people came home safely.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ultimate in it's not about me. It's the same thing with sports.
Mm-hmm.
As amazing as our current quarterback is, he doesn't play the game by himself. It's all about team. That's the primary lesson. And if you don't treat your team well, you don't have a team.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so interesting to me because I actually speak about elements of this, and I use a soundbite in a lot of my speeches. This part's sort of talking about purpose, and I show a clip of Army major that I interviewed over there live, during a Royals game, and there was no I or me. It was all about thanking us for coming. It was about crediting the families and the wives and the spouses back home, and we're just soldiers over here doing our job. And by the way, this wasn't lip service. I think the rest of us would say, no, wait a minute, you're not just doing your job, you guys are heroes. Almost like the medical community right now. It's like, no, we're just doing our job, and this is what we love to do, this is what we signed up to do. So I see both sides of it, but ultimately it is that. And then I'll talk about some of the characters, so to speak, in the sports world during the Royals runs that maybe didn't show up in the stats. It's more than just the stats. So let me back up a little bit. This is not the first book that you have written about your father. This is what, the third book. What are the difference between each of them?
Well, the first book, which was called Road Signs on the High Road of Life, grew out of my father's eulogy. And it was a very personal book. I wrote it as part of my grieving process. I'm not sure that I had ever intended it to sell as well as it has. It's a nice little book. The second book, which was the first in a series of 3, was called Kernels of Wisdom: A Daughter's Reflection on Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was I took 52 of my father's quotes, Kernelisms about leadership, and I fleshed them out. What does it mean to me? What might it mean to you? What was the story behind that moment in time that originated the quote? And there are 52 of them, so you can process one a week for a year. The book that is out June 15th is the second in the Kernels of Wisdom series. This one focuses on significance. It's a daughter's reflection on significance. Because the Colonel said, anyone can be successful, kiddo. Making money, losing money, titles, that's easy. choose to be significant.
Mm-hmm.
And significance isn't about any of those trappings. Significance is about how many lives you touch and the manner in which you choose to impact them, because how we impact people is a choice. So this book also has 52 of my father's quotes focused on significance. And the third book, which will be out next year, which will be the third of a trilogy on Kernels of Wisdom, will be on accountability. So, but the one that is out, freshly out, June 15th, is on significance, A Daughter's Reflection on Significance.
Yeah, and I'm lucky because I got the sneak peek, and it's just chock full of lessons. Every single thing I started writing down, because I was trying to think about, okay, what do I want to, in my review, what do I want to capture? And obviously, you don't have a lot of words if you're getting on the back cover for a little paragraph. I'm like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's all good. I mean, it's, so that's what you grew up with. That's what you get to pass on to others. Now, here's a question. I want to go a little bit deeper because, and I know your father has been gone for a number of years now, but I also know, I mean, I know this, you certainly think about him every day, and not just in a way that anyone thinks about the loss of a loved one. You think about it in a way that can help others because you grew up with all of that wisdom that he was passing on. So what I wonder is, in these times right now, which we've never experienced before, and I don't know that he ever experienced anything like this either. I mean, that's what's so powerful about, to me, this pandemic. And I've said this in my virtual speech, that these are unprecedented times, and everyone's saying these are unprecedented times. But they are. We have never, as a society, gone through something like this. You have to go back to, before, really, almost. You might have some that are around 100 or so that were alive for, they wouldn't remember it. So no one's quite been through anything like this, um, not globally, not altogether. What would your dad think and say about all this right now?
Well, the first thing that I believe the Colonel would say, use what you've got and just keep showing up.
Hmm.
All of us who are professional speakers, and most of us, I think all of us who make our living on stage speaking, saw at least 50% of our annual income slide off of our calendars in 72 hours. So it was real easy for me to curl up in a corner and suck my thumb and say, oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to make any money this year. And I gave myself a day to do that. And then the Colonel would say, okay, what can you do? Work the problem, kid. What can you do? So in my situation, I took the time to finish the book. I took the time to outfit what I needed to present virtually and have it be professional, and not, okay. So use what you've got and just show up and work the problem. Dad was a big believer in this too shall pass. And I keep telling myself that as well. This too shall pass. Nothing's going to be exactly the same as it was before, but this too shall pass. I think those would be the two big ones.
Well, and everything you say is what I've been thinking about too, because, by the way, and we know this as speakers, I certainly know this on TV. What I keep telling people is nothing ever goes exactly as planned on TV, which I think is probably true for most of life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all want to be, maybe not all of us, many of us are perfectionists. We go about that in different ways. Yeah, you just a little bit. Yeah, right. I know you are a perfectionist, but we all are. I think we all are. We all seek perfection. We may go about it in different ways. The way we define perfection might be different for each one of us. But what I keep telling people is, if you're going to wait for this to be perfect, which in your world more than mine, because I got the whole baseball thing too. But if you're going to wait to get back on stage and speak the way you were before, you're going to have to wait a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it may also not be the way it was before. So you can wait on that. That doesn't seem like the best of advice right now. So you have to do what I call seeking messy action, which to me means get out there. And that's something that I got from my marketing manager, Danielle Welch, and I've been using that a lot. It's one of the pieces of advice in my virtual speech is seek messy action over perfection. That doesn't mean be reckless. That doesn't mean just throw everything at the wall. And I think most importantly, and now I'm getting on my soapbox, so I'll turn it over to you. What it means is you still have to, as you take that messy action, stay true to who you are, your foundation. I'm not suddenly going to become a different person. I might just go about things differently, if that makes sense to you. What's your take on that and the way that you have tried to adjust to this situation?
Well, I did sequester myself. I took the opportunity, since we were completely quarantined, and all of my clients were figuring it out. Many emotionally cowering in a corner trying to figure out where we go from here. I took that time to finish the book. And then I started focusing on virtual. When we come to the realization that it's not going to be exactly the way it was before, I could say, oh, I don't like presenting virtually. There's no audience to feed off of. You have no idea how much I've heard that in the last month. No, there's not. Get over it. It's messy, seeking messy action. I love that. Because it's not the same. We don't have the audience to feed off of, and we don't have anything it's like you and television, like you said before. We don't have anything to feed off of except the camera that's in front of us, which is not jumping up and down and waving its hands and saying, yes, yes. But it's what's necessary right now. So in being true to myself, I needed to bring that up to a level that had professionalism with it, but also not go overboard. I didn't spend a month and a half building out a $50,000 television studio in my home. I got what I needed and got on with it.
Well,
that's
yeah,
how I am.
Yeah, but again, that gets back to. Sorry to interrupt. That gets back to you. If you're going to wait for that perfect studio, you're going to keep waiting. I mean, I've joked about this over and over again. I'm in a walk-in closet here, and I think it works. And so now you've got the nice little background where you got your dad over your left shoulder there, which is
that's
pretty cool.
That's the book cover.
I know. It looks good too. It looks really good.
Thank you. And my favorite city up above me.
Which is?
Oh, come on. That's a very Van Gogh of the KC skyline.
Yeah, I see the I see the Kauffman Center up there.
Yep.
And I see the convention center, the stacks or whatever that is. Yep, looks really good. I want to get back to having someone like your dad as an influence in everything you do every single day, the ability to pass on his legacy. These lessons aren't ending just with you. They're not ending just with, as you pass it on. I've met your daughter and you're passing it on to everyone, and these lessons then get to live with them. How often, maybe you have them all, I don't know. How often do you come up with a new, wait a minute, the Colonel said, and I hadn't thought about that one before. Have you exhausted all of your resources, or do they just keep coming to you?
Oh, I don't think so. They don't come as often as they used to. See, that's how all of this started. Was after he died, I was kind of adrift, and I kept hearing his voice in the back of my head. And as a means of working through my grief, I would write it down. Every time I would hear Dad's voice in the back of my head, I would write it down. So now I have 14 years of writing those down. New ones don't come as often, but they still come. Oh gosh, I hope they never stop.
Yeah.
They still come, and I have ones that I've decided to not put in any of the 3 books, simply because they didn't fit into the comfortable 3 categories that I selected. Maybe there'll be a one-off book that is other kernalisms, other kernels of wisdom. I don't know, but I hope they never stop coming. They just don't come as fast now.
Do you have this isn't fair. It's like asking, favorite kid or whatever, but do you have a favorite story or lesson from your dad that is just one that is always a must, or that is going to just resonate with an audience, any audience?
I have a couple of them that I tell on stage.
Let me hear.
One of them is the story of the Apollo 13 mission. And my father's belief in the human spirit. And I don't think anyone in our household moved for 72 consecutive hours during that mission. And my mother paced back and forth, just moaning about the 3 lives that we'd lost in space. And my father kept saying, no, we will bring them back. We will bring them back. The best American engineers are on this. We will bring them back. And when Colonel Lovell's voice cracked over the comm, hello, Houston. This is Odyssey. It's good to see you again. My father cried. That's one of my favorite stories. And the other one is what I call Vaya con Dios. And that's about stopping to help a stranded family outside of Quemado, New Mexico. And we spent almost 12 hours there with them working to fix their car. And it's another time my father cried as they drove away. And he said, pay attention, kid. We were significant today. Those are two of my favorites.
Which is what this book is about right now.
Yeah.
About significance. How do you think in this time right now? I mean, I've thought about this. I can't entertain people in the baseball world right now. I'm finding other ways to be significant. This is one of them right here. I can't even remember exactly the moment that I thought of doing this daily show. I just know that I realized that I had about 8 or 9 podcasts that have been recorded, none of which address the pandemic. And I thought, boy, what if I just address it in the moment, day by day? And then this is episode 40. I didn't really even envision that was the case. So I felt, I felt like maybe there is some significance there in helping people, inspiring people, informing people, entertaining people, on and on. How much have you thought about significance right now and the importance of being significant at a time where we're also vulnerable?
I think that, and I could be biased, I think that it's an incredibly important message, if not the most important message. So the economic situation that we find ourselves in suddenly, like in a 2-month period, will the economy come back? Yes, it will. But to me, the message is not, are we going to make our money back? To me, the message is, are we going to be different when we come out of this? And how different, in what manner are we different, is a choice that each of us can make. So you can choose to chase all of the money that you've lost. You can choose success, or you can choose significance. And all of the cheering for healthcare workers and suddenly appreciating the teachers who are teaching your children. All of that is about choosing significance over success. I would just challenge every person to find one way to impact a life, impact a different family. The easiest way, the Colonel used to say, there's no reason to be nervous if your heart is in service. And it's easy for us to be woe is me, but it's really hard to be woe is me when you're choosing to help somebody else, to impact somebody else's life. I think that's the most important message coming out of this is how are we going to take this forward and continue helping each other and continue impacting other lives? I think it could be biased.
It's very well said, by the way. And so as we wrap things up here, I want to again remind everybody that we are closing in on the release of a new book. It is about significance. And I know, and I'll pop this up, if anyone wants to purchase the previous books, which all have a lot of wisdom in them, as would be expected based on the titles, you can go to Lauren's website, laurenschieffer.com. So give us some details as we wrap up about the new book that is coming out, when people can get it, how they can get it.
It's available for pre-order now. The release date that I have gotten from the publisher that it will be available on Amazon and in my little hand, for those that I have pre-ordered myself, is June 15th. Any pre-order will come directly from my warehouse and I will sign them and send them out as soon as they're in my hand. So that's what the information that I have now is that the deadline is June 15th. If my pre-orders come earlier than that, I will get them out earlier than that. So feel free, go pre-order them and they will come signed.
And did you devalue the book by putting Joel Goldberg's name on it?
I bumped it up. I bumped the price up. Joel Goldberg is in the forward, yes. Yes, you are in there.
I'm starting to work on my book, but now I can officially say that I'm in someone else's book, which is exciting. See, it's the start. I'm trying to ease into it. You are a multi-time author now. I'm just trying to figure out how to become one, what you and I have talked about, and that's hopefully coming by. I'm hoping for Christmas. So we'll.
Okay.
I told you before.
Don't hope. Do it.
No, I'm going to. I've told you before that when I started the speaking career 3 years ago, everybody told me I needed to write a book. And then I sat down with an author who looked at me and said, "You're not ready to write a book. Start a podcast." So look at where we're at. And now I'm ready to write the book, and I've got 2 or even 3 podcasts right now. So it's all working out. And I couldn't agree with you more right now. It is about significance, and it's about, to me, it's about taking care of people. It's about not what can I do for me. Very much what the Colonel talked about too. It's what can I do for others. And I think that's always been true. I think it's just been in what some might view as times of desperation, I would view as almost the ultimate life lesson and
opportunity.
And opportunity. There's opportunity that's coming out of this, I think, for those that go about things the right way. I don't think I'm being naive about that. I feel strongly about it, and I know that you'll continue to do that too. So if anyone wants to get a hold of Lauren, again, laurenschieffer.com. If you're looking to book a speaker, if you're looking breakout sessions, if you're looking at purchasing the book, or one of those, or all of those, all of the above is definitely a good thing too. So, Lauren, good luck with the book. I can't wait for it to come out. I can't wait to see the actual. I mean, I've read, but now I want to see the final design and how it looks. And I know it's going to do great things. You'll do great things. So I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your friendship, your mentorship, and I'm looking forward to June 15th.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, that is Lauren Schieffer. Great to visit with her. Hang tight for 1 second, Lauren, as we wrap things up. Hope everyone has a great week, another week, and we're starting to see some reopenings. I know everybody's got different comfort levels and feelings, and it's really interesting to kind of watch companies as they're installing their plans to get back to work and figuring things out. And so I'll just continue to remind everyone, whatever your thoughts and your practices are, just stay safe, take care of that family, take care of yourself, take care of others. Big thanks to KC Cattle Company. You can check them out at kccattlecompany.com. Wagyu beef, veteran owned and operated up in Western Missouri, and they deliver to all 50 states and to right down here in Kansas City. And a huge thanks to my partner, Enterprise Bank and Trust, hashtag no stopping you. Episode 40 is in the books. That means I'm closing in on 50 guests, 50 different podcasts so far. So we're up to 40. We'll get down to 50 towards the end of this month. Episode 41 is tomorrow. Hope you'll join me at noon. That's going to do it for another episode of Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. I'm Joel Goldberg. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everyone.